Alright, so I just had what I think is one of the best games of Blood Bowl I've had in a while, and this score screen should say it all. This wasn't a concede, this was a legitimate game played by my team, the Sunday Shufflers, against a team of Chaos. And you will gather that Sunday Shufflers was not intended to be a serious team, but Nuffle was on my side today to reward my stupidity.
Another chance to see some bloody action. Count me in. Welcome back, sports fans. Jim Johnson and Bob Bifford here. Weather is fine, so I'm not going to talk about it again.
Skip through a bit of this, we don't need to watch the whole cinematic intro.
Chaos teams hit hard. Really hard.
This should be a fun game.
Oops, didn't quite mean to do that. But yeah, I have a team of all zombies, and currently sitting on the sidelines is Bob the Ball Guy, my block sure-hand skeleton. He has very rarely let me down. And other than that, we just have the Big Boned and a bunch of zombies, because I felt like calling them something different. So this is a pretty standard Chaos team. I think he's got either fresh or very new. I don't think he had any unusual skills, but it was quite a good kick, and that really put me off to a good start. Oh no, he's not brand new. He does have sure hands, so scratch that. But he is rather new, clearly. So I'm interested to see what exactly he's gonna do later. I mean, I hope he doesn't go kill team, but you know, that's what I see a lot of Chaos. But yeah, this is just to show off how Nuffle just rewarded the most ridiculous team I have played in a long time. They are slightly developed. We do have my trusty pile-on Dauntless Zambi, as well as my Diving Tackle Zambi. Diving Tackle didn't really play a big role this game, but I really like the pile-on Dauntless Zombie.
Now that's a real mess.
So, coming out of the first turn, I was a little surprised that he went for this really deep, heavily defensive cage against zombies that simply wouldn't have the movement to catch him, because it left me with pretty much carte blanche permission to beat the hell out of the 5 pieces he left up front.
Good old block to start the match. I like it.
Oh, and yes, one of the big bones is plus movement mummy, which I think is great. But we open up trading KO for KO. You know, nothing too astounding. Having Mighty Blow, I kind of expect to get a few lucky injuries like that. And I run 5 rerolls on this team because there's no block. I'm very heavily dependent on getting the right rolls. But yeah, then we follow up with another KO to really secure that numbers advantage. And my Dauntless Zombie pays dividends here. Well, sort of. I mean, he got it to trigger. It would have been a 2-dice block anyway, but I want him to sound important. That's a lot of team value tied up in a zombie that I probably don't need. But because he did this setup up near the top where he drew back 6 of his players, it really just let me pile on and bully these guys. The 2 KOs were lucky. I was just hoping to get a bunch of knockdowns so he wouldn't be able to punch me back next turn. But things turned out a lot better than I really had any right to have them turn out for on the opening turn. So, instead of engaging at all, he's going to run all 6 of these players into an awkward sideline cage, which I really disagree with. I'm not quite sure what he was thinking. He might have just been hoping that he's got MA6, I've got MA4 zombies, and he can blow right past me. That's the only thought process I can think of. But I think he needs to get in there and help his Chaos Warriors instead of devoting 6 pieces, well, 5 pieces to a very heavy cage. And he takes red die there, really gets the payoff. I'm not confident that he should have taken it, but, you know, he did get some luck himself this game. I'm just going to bully these 3 pieces here. I failed the Dauntless twice, but managed to get lucky on a double block, so that could have been very bad. The mummy's going to clean up as well. So my initial streak of armor breaks seems to have run fairly dry. But these zombies are easily within movement range to just walk over here and double block him so that he can't just blitz me down and run through. I want to try to force this cage back into the middle towards my mummies, just because they take so long to get anywhere. So I just double line this up, knowing he can't blitz through, and I'm honestly expecting him to swing around to the other side at this point. So I try to move this zombie up instead of moving it back. I want to try to have them close to position for him to swing around. And I just put this mummy here to mark his Chaos Warrior. Now, again, he just blitzes in here and shoves this mummy, but even if he got the knockdown, that wasn't going to do anything. So I don't know why. I guess he's just trying to think, okay, it's going to take a turn for the rest of my zombies to get over and he can beat me up. But he puts the ball carrier on the edge in base to base with a zombie that is not knocked down. And that really, that is probably what I consider the first major misplay that my opponent did this game. Because it gives me leave. I bring this zombie over here to mark these 2. I've got a 2 dice block here. I can shove his support away because of this one he put in the back. And that'll let me have a 2 dice block on the ball carrier that is guaranteed to shove him out of bounds, even if I only get the push.
Not a wise place to end your turn on the border of the pitch. If the player gets pushed into the crowd, well, last time that happened, it took 3 days to piece the body back together.
There goes the ball.
The ball, it's a great kickoff right into the middle of my guys. The zombie doesn't catch it, but that's not really surprising. But he's got 5 players tied up over here pretty significantly away from the ball. And I'm not too worried about these Chaos Warriors getting the ball, because even if they do, I'm just going to hit him in the face of the mummy. So I move the mummy in a position to guard the ball and mark Chaos Warriors, and then I shift up another mummy between them, and I just try to Hail Mary zombie pickup. So I have fairly good security over these Chaos Warriors. I wasn't really paying attention here. This guy still has a 1 die block on this zombie. But most of these have to make dodge rolls to get out.
And it's face down for all.
So he's just trying to fall back. He knows... I know at this point, too, that I don't want to leave this zombie anywhere open against horns and higher movement. He does get this zombie knocked down, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to need to take a turn to cage up properly. But he fails to dodge over here on the other side, giving me the turnover before he can do anything with those last couple of Beastmen. So at this point, I just dauntless him with the ball carrier. I figured it was a pretty safe attempt. It pays off.
That range, they'll go down as if you were flinging.
And I get another KO. It really, this is going to be the point where they really start to pile up and the Chaos player really feels the pain.
Rolling up into his head. He'll be out for some time.
So I chose not to follow this up, A, hoping this would happen, but also, even if he got up, he only had 2 movement, he couldn't get to the ball carrier, and I wanted to double mark the Chaos Warrior that was downed. I just moved this zombie up to try to prevent a blitz from the Beastmen, and mark this Beastman so he has to dodge if he wants to come assist. Then I just end up beating up on this Beastman and then moving the rest of the zombies around for marking positions. But even the zombies who don't have any sort of Mighty Blow or assistance, they're doing nasty work this game. That's his second into the injury box, and we're only on turn 4. It's kind of insane. And remember, this was his kickoff, so I get the receiving on the second half. So he goes for this blitz that I did see, but it's only a 1 dice. I figured I'd be able to get it off. He doesn't re-roll the push. I think I would have, because he was kind of at the point where it's desperate, and I have very low odds to pick the ball back up. He also didn't re-roll that both down, so I'm not sure if he's given up, or if he just wants to try to save the re-rolls for later. But he's got 3 of them, so I'm not quite sure why he wouldn't go for that.
Less pressure on the ball. It's a good move.
Then I bring the movement speed mummy up to take care of my mark problem on this beast man.
It's like peeling an onion.
And it's a quick, easy run for the zombie up towards the goal line. Well, quick for zombie standards. I want to double mark this beast man so he can't blitz and then tackle zone the ball carrier without a dodge. And I just bring these fellows around to help support the marking of these beastmen here. We received additional bribes on the kickoff, so I figured, well, why not use it? This is a niggled beastman. It makes sense to try to foul him, and it pays dividends.
5 gold pieces says he gets kicked in the face first.
And we now have a brand new beastman-based zombie on my team. So hopefully I can do more damage with that. The bribe does work, which is always lovely. I didn't really have anything else to do this turn, but I wanted to try to keep the extra zombie in play, because I was expecting some casualties on my own end. Yeah, the self-KO off the both down. Again, he's not re-rolling. I can't tell if he's just throwing dice to get the turns over with, if he's given up. He did only admittedly have 4 players on the field when he made that decision, but it definitely seems like he sort of gave up. And I can't really blame him in the face of these dice. These are pretty impressive dice for a team of zombies with 2 mummies, because the Sure Hands block ball skeleton is on the sidelines. He's not even a factor at this time. And again, you know, I've got to rely on those rerolls to get me what I need. If I reroll into skulls or both downs, it's just gets messy very quickly.
That's a dangerous place to be.
So I'm bringing this zombie down with the intent to help mark this Chaos Warrior if he gets up. I'm going to come down here for more fouls. I've got the player advantage. I have no reason not to. I just want to make sure that I can get as many of these players off and keep them off as possible. And yeah, I got caught the second time, but I did get the injury, so that's more than worth it in my mind, especially because I'm running heavy on zombies anyway. I already field the bench of 1. I just got another free zombie, so keeping him with as close to 0 players as possible is worth the risk of getting caught in a foul. At this point, he's just running. He's just trying to preserve me from taking off his last 2 players, because that's all he's got is 2 players. And I can't really blame him. I go for the blitz here, and then after that, there's really nothing to be done to the rest of these guys. I don't get the knockdown. There's no sense in fouling. Or rather, there's nothing to foul. I would foul if I could, but alas, I cannot. So we'll skip ahead. It's just me knocking everyone else in position. He both downed himself here, rolled into another both down off of his Chaos Warrior.
On the floor again. This team must.
And that just leaves me with an easy turn 8 score on the Dauntless Pylon Zombie.
The ball is in the end zone, and
I love the Zombie's touchdown dance. I actually don't believe I had seen it prior to this moment. But his hand has some issues.
going to perk the crowd just as the halftime whistle blows. Well, with that touchdown under their belt, we can finally get this match
And
started.
I don't receive a KO back, which I'm perfectly fine with, and he receives only a single Chaos Warrior back out of all those knockouts, which makes this a really rough second half. He's got 4 players kicking off into a full field of undead.
Never fun, Jim. But on the Blood Bowl pitch, well, it's deadly.
They've kicked the ball to the winning team, but they have to keep their heads, because it'll be on the way back to them soon enough.
At this point, I'm fairly confident I can contain 4 Chaos units with an army of zombies. I just throw everything as close to them as possible on the line as I can manage. And after the kickoff lands, I just start laying into them with the mummies, which do their jobs rather pleasantly. And once again, the Dauntless Pylon is going to take a blow at this Chaos Warrior. This is the first real instance of the Pylon paying dividends, though. It actually managed to get the KO and remove that other Chaos Warrior from the field. It's not really necessary at this point to remove any more of his players. It just ensures that even if I get some shenanigans, everything goes fine. The rest of the match is essentially me maintaining the chaos in a ridiculous cage as Bob the Ball Skeleton steadily makes his way up the field. There's a removal of the Chaos Warrior from a foul. We get another removal and go to the last turn where he gets to beat me up a bit. But, yeah, overall, I was very pleased with how this worked out for the Sunday Shufflers. I made the team sort of as a joke, just to see what would happen if I absolutely insisted on using a skeleton as a ball carrier. And going into it, I didn't know what skills I was going to take on zombies. A couple of fortunate doubles gave me a couple of utility pieces in the diving tackle and the Pylon Dauntless. But overall, I really think this one just came down to Nuffle appreciating doing something a little bit odd. And I just felt the need to share this because it put me over the moon. And I got a level up from it. Oh.
Joining a league gives you loads of new opponents to bludgeon.
You too can widen your horizons.
And so, that's the full roster for the Sunday Shufflers. A bunch of zombies, 2 big bones, and Bob the Ball Guy. I might fire the new zombie as he doesn't match my naming scheme, but, you know, I might keep him around a bit. I just felt like sharing, so thanks for watching.